Hi, and welcome to the Ali Hart podcast. Mum of three boys, and my husband is called Michael. I'm a professional artist of over 20 years. I sell my work worldwide, and I teach you how to paint on YouTube and in in-person workshops. Grief is a huge part of the conversation, and mostly I want you to show up as your most true and authentic self. As a child who suffered grief from the age of 7, I am constantly seeking joy in my everyday. Let's get discussing, and I hope that you enjoy the episode. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode. Gosh, I sound just like I did years ago when I started this. I am again recording between YouTube and Instagram and everything and TikTok. This is the Ali Hart podcast. And today we're going to discuss about making money, how to make money. So I wish there was a magic trick to that. But I would say being a businesswoman, being a mummy, and also being a creative, we have got to be creative in how we make money. Now, the good thing is, if you're listening to this and you're like, I'm in a job and I want to just like start making my own money, how do I do that? You got to start somewhere. So what my kids have taught me is that Vinted is a really good one for making money passively. So I would say 6 months ago, I would say to friends and to my family, sorry, my hair's so big today. That's why I'm like, if you're not listening, you're watching, you're seeing me smooth it down. Maybe I could do a podcast about hair products sometime and what just doesn't work for my mane of a head. So Vinted about 6 months ago, I would have said I do not have a capacity for it. So I am an artist. I sell prints, I sell workshops, I sell online teaching, I sell mentoring. Um, I am constantly selling, but in like indirectly selling. So I've learned how to sell through marketing, etc., etc. That would be the first thing I would say is get really comfortable with selling. One thing Tim Ferriss would say is you should ask for 10% off in a coffee shop. Oh my goodness, I'm just never going to do that. I also was like a waitress for 11 years. I would have died if someone had, well, I think that's the point. The point is it teaches you to get no. There's other people that would say send requests out to, so say you're an artist, send them to galleries. If you're a singer, send your demo out. If you are just wanting to like, let me think, like get into car sales, and they're like you're basically wanting to request so much so often from random people, like cold calls basically, except on DMs. It's such an easy way to do it with such access to it now. So you do that enough, you get enough no's that you get really comfortable with it. So you get comfortable selling. But Vinted, I said I just did no capacity for because I sell with art all the time. I'm always trying not to be too invasive. I'm trying not to be too in your face. I'm trying to sell, like, I guess I'm trying to brand. I'm trying to give value, which is the most important thing I would say. But and they also then there's the fitness side of what I do. So I'm very lucky in that my PT clients come to me. I've been giving value out in that sense. I could give a ton more if I had more time. So PT clients, I never have a problem trying to find. Online clients, they just gradually, organically are growing. I'm actually at a stage of the business where I need to use Meta basically to have ads. But that's by the by. Anyway, my point is, I do so much of that online selling that I was like, I can't cope with Vinted. However, now I'm on an absolute roll with Vinted, and like it's a small roll, but because I buy these, this is something that I've had for years, but these trousers that I have, I buy at like charity shops anyway. So Vinted is kind of like your charity shop. So you can decide if you want to have if you're selling, if you want to sell something that is, so for me, buying, I'm often buying stuff that I'm going to paint in. So I have a really nice fake Barber jacket, which I've also ruined in paint, but it means that I don't feel wed to it. So in terms of selling, Vinted's a really good place to sell. But my point is, we're always selling. So whether you are like me and you're 16 years into a business or whether you're brand new into it, you just get really comfortable with you're always thinking about what to sell. So no matter I'm going to do other ones, of course, and you'll go back through the podcast and you can see all the different ways of running a business. But ultimately, selling never goes away. So employees can come and go. Trends online like social media, they can come and go. Email marketing lists can come and go, but the main objective is selling. So, how to get comfortable with selling? That is one way to do it. And for me, it's just knowing your value, and it's taken me a really long time. And I know people think that's surprising. Um, but I was painting for a recent photo shoot, and it was a photo shoot for my website. I would highly recommend that as well when you get to the stage. Like, get a few really beautiful images, even a moving image of you doing whatever it is you're doing, even if it is selling bottles, baby bottles, like just a few nice shots of that can really change everything. It also changes how much people can see that you care. Do you know what I mean? Says me sitting with no mic and one little ring light. But anyway, um, I feel the value is in the content that I'm giving you. So, yes, when it comes to the sellings, so all of these things are changeable, but the selling remains. The selling is still going to be what brings you money in, and it's going to be the thing that you are. So anyway, recently I had this photo shoot, and it was on the photo shoot, and the guy knows me really well and has known me a long time. I've actually interviewed him on the podcast, Dave. And I was explaining to him as I'm like throwing paint on the floor, and I'm just like absolutely loving it because we did the fitness photos before it, and I was just hating it. I hated every minute of it. I was like, I'm so awkward. And then he says to me, your chin goes up, and then that makes me more paranoid. And I'm already like blushing thinking about it because it's so awkward. But anyway, again, I do it for my business. I do it because I know if I'm buying from somebody in the fitness industry, I want to know that they're serious about it, and I also want to know that they can hold a plank, and that they actually, speak their truth. But I was painting on the floor, and I was like, blah, 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 the way that I do, and just sort of brushing off the professionalism that I have, brushing off the years of experience that I have, and the fact that I'm selling globally. And he was like, Al, do you ever think other people don't value your work, and maybe that comes through with how you something along those lines anyway. And at the time I was like, no, look, don't be so daft. But absolutely, of course it does. Like, you have got to value what you're putting out in the world. So like, that might not be. So for me, my art is incredibly personal in that, like, it comes from me. I can't outsource that. Where for you, if you are literally setting up a shop on TikTok and you are buying bulk in to then resell, different, but also like, you got to believe in the product, right? So the selling part is fine because it's learned and it's experience and it is trial and error. But the actual product that you have to sell, you must believe in that. So I am, and my YouTube people, I guess you could see here, like, this is one of my paintings in the background. And my husband laughs at me, but we have a laugh ourselves at it. Like, I adore the paintings that I make. And I know that makes me sound like I am right up my own backside, but if I didn't, like, then who would believe in them? But it still surprises me every time that someone comes to my studio and they don't bargain with me and they don't haggle and they don't say, oh, the last time, like, we're all going to get those people. Hence, go back to what the Tim Ferriss thing about asking at a coffee shop. Um, or he'd quoted someone else talking about that. But you got to believe in what you're doing. You got to believe. And the thing is, as well, we can put so many masks on today. We can be so fake. We can use AI for so much of what we put out there that people are going to be picking even more for authenticity. And people are going to eye out and see who is not. Because this is one shot you get at this, Yes, sorry, I say that, but what I mean is life, like, and whatever it is that you are wanting to put out in the world and to give to the world, the selling, you've got to think about selling. So we'll talk about branding, we'll talk about offering value in all the other place times. But for right now, I want you to know that you've got to show up and sell. Because if you're in a tight spot, if you're not able to pay your bills, if you're not able to pay your staff, you've got to sell. You've got to think about how to sell. You've got to be innovative at how to sell. If you've got debt, you've got to sell to make money. So if you've got taxes, you got to sell. So those are my points for today. And I hope that you have a lovely day. Thank you so much for listening. And please do go and check out my new painting. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to my latest episode. I hope that you can share this with someone who will also benefit and get value from it. Thanks for taking the time to be here. Remember to subscribe so you get all the rest of my episodes. You can check out my work on my website, and I'll see you on YouTube or any of the socials. Have a wonderful day.